G'day everyone, welcome to another Sunday night live stream in Aquariums Anonymous live stream. And tonight we've got a really interesting night ahead of us, a very interesting meeting. We're talking particularly about a fish, a group of fish that I know absolutely nothing about. It's a really specialist freshwater field, and I'm pretty excited to sort of dive in with our guest tonight. Tonight so far in the stream, we've got the Ginger Ninja. We've got Quade, the Ginger Ninja. We've got Pratty87, we've got Gil, and we've got Ross Dingle. How you going, guys? Don't forget, if you've got any questions that you want to have asked, to pop those in the chat, and I shall do my best to keep up with them. And if you're watching this in YouTube afterwards and you have some questions for our guest, pop them down in the comments in the video, and I shall do my best to get those questions answered for you. So, my name is Adam. I'm your host tonight, and I am addicted to aquariums. Let's bring on our special guest. G'day, mate. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Welcome, Mel. Introduce yourself to the group tonight.
My name's Ricky, and I breed birches. You kind of say I'm addicted to it.
That might be the case, because you not only you breed Bichirs, it's the only fish species that you kill, or the only fish family that you keep, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
So Ricky, for everyone out there, Ricky's been very generous, and he's got an absolute ton of footage for us to go through tonight. He's breeding a lot of Senegal Bichirs. He's also working on some other species, and I believe, Ricky, you were saying that you keep 4 species in total.
Yes, that's right.
We're going to dive into Ricky's fish room, probably up first, I think, just so everyone out there can see what's behind a working fish room. And Ricky, you were telling me that you thought that your fish room was pretty humble, mate, but I was pretty impressed when I was seeing your setup. I think it was very effective, and I think it'd be very applicable for a bunch of other fish species, such as freshwater rays and maybe some other types of larger freshwater fish as well. So do you want to maybe introduce how you got into keeping Bichirs first, and then we can turn the camera around and we can dive into what your fish room looks like?
Well, I guess probably takes me back to the first time I saw one. I was at Australian Aquarium, and there was a big corner tank there with one just gliding through the water. And I just saw it, and I was like, "What is that thing?" And I just had to have one. And
how long ago was that?
I couldn't. Oh, mate, that would have been probably 10 years ago. Probably 10 years ago. And they had a pretty hefty price tag on them back then, so it was a bit out of my range. But it was probably about 5 years ago now. I was able to find some on Gumtree.
Yep.
And I ended up buying a pair of them, and I just fell in love with them. And I spent a lot of time trying to breed them and trying all different kinds of things. And the more I learned about them, like, the better it got.
All right.
So that's how I got into birches.
Okay. So what we can do, how about you turn your phone around? You got that back camera, front camera thing going on.
Yeah, sure.
And just maybe you can give us an overview of what you've got going on in your fish room setup there, and maybe also show us those special surprises you got on the floor, which we can talk about later.
Sure.
But just run us through your basic, the basics of what your fish room is set up.
All right. So I've got a 2-tier 6-foot rack here that's all running on canister filters. In the top here, I have Senegal birches, which currently trying to breed at the moment. That's why the spawning mops are in there.
Yep.
Down the bottom, I have a pair of tiger birches. Probably hard to see, but it's just hiding there in the mop. Yep. Same deal.
Yep.
There's 2 of them. I'll try and get them out a bit later. Over here, I've got another 2 6-foots that are just straddling across the IBCs. So in this one, there's a pair. There's a pair of Delhaize's in this one. Try and get a good close up. They're probably sulking because I did a water change. And these guys in here are gold dust palmers. They're going to be a bit harder to see because they're a species of bircher that don't like to come out into the open. They like to hide.
Okay.
I'll try and get probably like a bit of a back view there, but.
And you've got it looks like you're holding your adults in the 6-foot aquariums, and then you use the IBCs as your grow out tanks?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Okay. And I've got plenty of footage of that to go on. Do you want to just give us a rundown? Unfortunately for everybody out there, I did have a bit of a slideshow of how Ricky, let's just say, beautified his IBCs, but I've somehow stuffed that up. But maybe you can give a rundown of what the process was in setting those IBCs up.
Well, I built this one here first, and this one's pretty much just like stud pieces of timber I bought from Bunnings, and I built a frame around that one, and then I insulate it with some pink bats that I got off Gumtree.
Yep.
And then I've just gone and sheeted like the top with some plywood, and this is just your caravan paneling, that 3mm composite alley.
Yep. So
I did that one first, and then these ones here, I actually just got these IBCs in a straight line, as straight as I could. Then I sat this tank on top of it to hold everything in place, and I've just ran, because they still had the metal cages around the IBC, I've just ran like bits of 50mm plywood up and down the whole way, and then I've just pretty much just screwed everything to it, some stainless around it, and clad it all in with the timber. That's also insulated all around the IBCs in this as well, just to help with the winter.
Is there a spot there, Ricky, where you can peel back a bit of the plastic to show the insulation sandwiched in there, or is it pretty tight? Oh yeah, there you go.
It's in there.
And that's just those bats. Yeah.
Yeah.
And was the main basis of doing that, was that to help with the water, or was it for making it pretty, or what was the situation there? What was the main reason?
For cladding it all in. Yeah. It was just, I don't know, really. I wanted to insulate it. I wanted it to look good. I think it was just a fun thing to do, to be honest. It's good because I can use these as, like, when I'm catching fish out and stuff, I can put containers on the top there, and like it works as like a little workbench kind of thing, you know. Yeah.
Have you got juveniles currently in those 4 IBCs?
I usually have these things full of Senegals, but I sold my last batch like a week ago. In this IBC here, I have tiger birches growing out. And also in this one here.
Okay. But that's okay, because I've got loads of footage of your grow outs with the absolutely jam packed with fry, and then also juvenile fish. There's stacks of stuff to go through there. Yeah. Filtration, are you running all on sponge filters in those IBCs?
Yes. So I have 2 types of sponge filters I'm running. I run 4 sponge filters in each IBC. I have a taller one and a smaller one, and it's pretty much just all running off this LP20. And I've got connected to some irrigation pipe that pretty much just loops around the whole roof. Just does a circle. And then I just, so the idea of the 2 different sponge filters is when I have them, the fry have just hatched, I like to keep the water as low as I possibly can. And as they get bigger, I just raise the water level up. Right. Rather than swap the sponge filters over. They're just always in there, just makes things a bit easier.
Yeah. Okay. We might get into the reason a bit later on as to why you elevate the water levels with the fry, but we can get into that later on.
Yeah, sure.
You've got, so I just want to get an overall for everybody out there that wants to sort of have a fish room and can take some ideas from you. So you've got your broodstock tanks up above. You got your grow out system down below. Did you Did you have any? I can see your 6 foot tanks are resting on some timbers that have been encased with a bit of sheet metal and some foam. Did you get any kickback from putting 6 foot tanks across a IBC?
No.
Any people say that's never going to work? Did you have any concerns with them spanning that distance?
Not really. I've seen these IBCs stacked on top of each other quite high on ships before, and I thought they must be able to take a bit of weight. And I thought by spreading the load with these sleepers I'll tell you what, filling the first one up, I was a little bit nervous, but they've been full of water now for 2 or 3 years, so it obviously works.
I was more thinking about the 6 foot tanks. If there was any concern, the 6 foot tanks would not have enough support underneath them. Spanning it, no. So that 6 foot tank spanning 1.2 meters roughly.
Yeah, yep. Well, I've got the sleepers are sheeted in stainless steel, and then I've got a solid piece of ply over it, and then you've got the foam. So
yeah. And the idea with that stainless steel is just to stop the timber from warping, or?
Well, I didn't want anything leaching out of the sleepers if they got wet and then dripping back into the tanks.
Of course, yeah.
So I virtually just tried to seal them the best I could, and because I'm a stainless steel fabricator, I just knocked them up pretty easily. It wasn't really didn't really go out of my way too much.
Yeah. Okay. And filtration on your holding tanks, your broodstock tanks, are they canister filters, or what are you doing for those 6 foots?
For the 6 foot, so I run a combination of sponge filters and the eHunt 2217s.
Yep.
Which I absolutely love these filters. I think they're very underrated. But I've had people tell me, why don't you connect everything up? But I like keeping everything separate. I know it's just a preference. They're not a lot of work to clean really, because I do run these pre-filters on it's just a little sponge filter on the intake. And every time I take these apart, they don't really get that dirty. I just clean the sponge off the intake there.
Okay, that's a good idea. How often does that sponge on the intake of the canister get blocked up? Do you have to clean that once a week?
Yeah, once a week, maybe every 4 days, once a week. It really depends. Because I'm only keeping 2 fish in there, I don't really feed very heavily.
Yep. Okay, that's very cool. And what about your air blower for your air manifold? Is that in the shed or outside, or?
The air pump?
Yep.
So that's just up there. It's just an LP20. It's just on that shelf there.
Halia. Is that a Halia LP20? Is it Halia?
I think it's a Resun. Oh,
Resun.
I don't know. It's a Resun, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They're nice and quiet. I upgraded to an LP40 and it was just pumping too hard. And then I was going to have a bleed off, but then it was going to be too noisy. I don't know. This is just my preference. I like everything being quiet. Having 3 kids, I like to come out here and relax.
Yeah. Okay. Now I can see, I was going to ask about your water change system. I can see on the ground you've got a PVC drain gutter, I guess you'd call it. So I'm assuming when you're doing water changes, you're manually siphoning water out into that, which will go to waste?
Yeah, that's correct. So I've got a couple of these jar changes, which I think are great. I virtually just hook them up there, run a hose into that.
Can you grab one and show us those? Because I was wondering what they were. Did you make them or buy them?
No, so they're called a jar changer. There's a guy that makes them. He actually just lives around the corner from me. So that's a custom one he's made me for the IBCs.
Is it PVC or metal?
It's PVC. So it's got the little valve on the side. And that's the one for my 6 foot tank. So this one's for the IBC. In hindsight, I probably should have just got an extra piece here made that I could change with that. But having 2 means I can do 2 water changes at once. I can empty an IBC and another tank, and I can empty them all into this at the same time. And it sort of just runs out down this pipe into a drain that's between my shed there.
And to ask what seems like a silly question, to drain the tank, do you dunk that in the tank first, or do you suck on the end to make a siphon?
Yeah, I put it in the tank first, and then I just suck on it because it doesn't take much. It's only going from there to there. It pretty much starts immediately.
Yeah, and then
it's a pain in the ass sometimes emptying these, but I managed to get it done.
Because you got to lie on the ground to suck on
it. Yes, you've been watching, haven't you?
Well, I'm looking at the water level there, wondering how you're going to get the water to make a sight. And not only that, you've got to suck it over the edge.
That's right. Yeah, it is a pain.
Did you ever think about maybe opening up the bottom valve of the IBCs and use those for your water changes, plumb those in, or it'd be?
I did play with that area. I've always got baby fry in there, but and I didn't want to suck them all out. And sometimes I run cherry shrimp in the bottom too. I don't know. I played with the idea. I had a system that worked, and I sort of didn't want to mess with it.
Yeah,
I like the idea, but I've cladded it all in now, so I can't really do that.
Yeah,
I could probably drill a hole through here and then have a drain on the inside, like a bulkhead, but
yeah,
I don't know. These things kind of work for me. It's not that bad.
Yeah. If someone's and I'm assuming to refill, you just put it on the side and plug the hose into it by the looks of it.
Correct. Yeah.
So using Brisbane town water is perfectly fine. How do you do your dechlorination with it? Just chuck it in as it goes, or?
Yeah. So I use I put a bucket of safe, and I just mix a bit of safe up into a measuring cup, and I just mix it in as the water's coming in.
Cool. All right, mate. Is there anything? Do you want to give the group a bit of a sneak peek at some of those adults that you got in the tubs on the ground?
Yeah, sure.
And then we can jump into some of the chat and also some of the questions and the footage we've got about breeding in Senegals. What have we got here?
So these are 3 birches that I've bred. I've kept these guys for they're probably about 3 years old now. I've got a short body Senegal, so he was a deformed one.
Right.
I couldn't get rid of him. He's pretty cool. The kids love him.
Yeah.
And this is a female Senegal.
Right.
And that's the male there. Okay, and these guys are my backup breeders, pretty much.
So can you explain to the viewers a bit about the Senegal in the hobby and also how you can sex the fish?
Okay. Well, I'll start with the sexing of them. You can see that they have a different body head shape. The female's a little bit wider. You can see she's a bit chunkier just after the head also. So that's the female. And that's the male. It's probably a bit hard when they move around to see. And the males, their anal fin's very broad and it's like muscular. You can kind of see it. When they're ready to mate, they'll clasp like a cup. It's called cupping. So if you saw a male and a female next to each other, you'd be able to tell pretty easy. But when they're all small, they all kind of look like females, so it can be difficult. It's good.
At what size do you start to see the differences in head shape?
Well, I would say probably around 15 centimeter mark, maybe around that size, maybe getting up to 20 centimeter.
So that means that most people that buy juvenile Bichirs don't know they can't sex them. They've got no idea, and they can't until they grow up a bit.
No, it's pretty hard. We had theories that I had a guy tell me that you can count the top finlets, which is kind of interesting. And one sex had less, and the other had one had 8, one had 10. But we kind of debunked that with Fry that we sort of counted and grew up. And so I don't know, but I think they need to be sexually mature before you can really tell. Because you can, I don't know if you can see that. That's the male's anal fin. It's a lot broader.
Yeah, it might be easy when we look at some fish through the side of the aquarium. It might be easy to see. I'm trying to see the difference the head shape. Is there a size difference between like the total size that they? Oh, I can see the male's got a more slender head there. Definitely.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, the females get real fat around the belly.
And do females grow bigger than the boys?
Yeah, they do.
Right. So
I've seen some big boys before, but
is it safe to say if you're growing a bunch of juveniles up, and the bigger ones that are progressively standing out are going to be the females?
sometimes, yeah. Birches are weird like that. I've found personally, because they start off with external gills, the fish that grow their gills to completion and hold them the longest end up growing the fastest. That's my opinion. That's what I've noticed. So
Right.
you can have, if you have too many that are raised together and they chomping each other gills, you get a lot of that are stunted.
Right. Well, that makes sense if it's oxygen and whatnot.
Yeah, that's,
right.
yeah, that's right.
So there. All right. Well, maybe pop the lid back on those guys, and then we can have a squeeze at what else you've pulled out for us.
Yep. So this here is a. So this is one of the tiger fry. I'll see if I can get better lighting. I'll just bring this tub over here, maybe.
Okay. Has it got external gills still, or is it?
Yeah.
It does still. Yep.
Yeah, you can see. So it looks like it's being chomped on its right-hand side. Let's see if we can see.
Oh yeah. So how old is this fish?
This fish is probably 3 to 4 weeks old.
Wow. So
roughly.
they grow,
Yeah.
and it's what, about 5 to 6 centimeters long, is it?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it would be.
So that they grow.
These guys grow incredibly fast.
Wow. Okay. Because now, oh, hang on. Well, okay. Have you got any other fish that you want to show us before we turn the camera around and we have a bit of a look at some video and a chinwag about them in the hobby?
No, not really. I think I've showed you most of everything. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Pop the lid back on him, and then if you want, we can I'll get you to turn the camera around so we can see your face, and then we can answer a couple of questions. Let me have a look. Gil's got a question.
Let him go. Let him go back in the water. Eh?
Yep.
Easy.
I'm just going through and make sure I haven't missed any questions in the past. There's a very, very general one there from Praddy. All right, let's just. Okay, mate. So there is a question here from Praddy that says, do you need, let me bring it up on the screen. I think it's something which is going to be answered most likely in the upcoming video that we'll do, and the narration from you. But Praddy says, do you need to do anything specific to be successful with breeding Bichirs? But I think that will come up through our night together, I'd say. Is that pretty much correct? We'll get through that.
Yeah, I believe it will. Yeah.
The Ginger Ninja asks why, because we do have a John Maud who's in the chat, is from the Northern Territory. And
I'm pretty sure they are illegal in the Northern Territory because I have a friend that lives there and I can't send him any.
Is there a reason for that?
I think each state has a different biosecurity law.
Yep.
And whatever we had here before the laws got tightened have been grandfathered. They've actually, so there's a lot of different species you can have in different states, but you'd have to look up what you're allowed. And I'm pretty sure Northern Territory, you can't have any. But
right.
I would look that up if you were interested in keeping them.
Yeah.
I think I can't send them there. I think if you already have them there, you might be able to have them.
All right. Now, the next question might be helpful because I did see a piece of paper, a poster on the floor that had the different species on it down by your
Yep.
tubs there. And I think this question, which is, are the tigers more aggressive than the Senegals? I think maybe what might be useful, Ricky, is if you were to grab that poster,
Yep.
and then you can just give us a quick rundown of the species that you've got on that poster and other ones that might be available in Australia, and then we can get onto this question. How's that
Yeah, sure,
sound?
man. Yep. Face it back. So we've got this.
So if you want to start with the most common one, which is the Senegal.
Yeah, that's the Senegal.
Okay. What else is available in us? What else have you got? And then what else is available in Australia?
So I've got the Senegal, the Delhaize.
Yep.
I've got, well, these two now I'm pretty sure are the same species, just a different variant. But
Palmas.
I've got that. Yeah, the Palmers and the tiger.
So the tiger is the Erlicki.
This one here. Yeah.
Okay.
It's named after an Austrian zoologist, so his last name has a bit of an accent, I think.
And Licori.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
And Licori. Okay. So they're considered the tiger. You've got the Palmas. You've got the Senegal, and you've got the ornate, was it? What was the other one?
Delhaize.
Delhaize. Okay. All right. So can you give us a rundown on when someone goes in an aquarium store, what is the most familiar Bichir they're going to come across and why?
Well, I think it's going to be a Senegal.
Correct. Yep.
I think, yeah, that's going to be your most common. You're seeing a lot of Delhaize pop up at the moment. Tigers come and go, but they're around at the moment. You'll see ornates, which are these guys.
Okay.
And that's probably all you're really going to see at a fish shop. Like, there's only probably one or two shops I've seen these guys at. So,
Smith's Aquarium.
Atlas Aquarium has them or has had them. Smith's, they've got great fish at Smith's. I wouldn't be surprised if they've got them too. I know they've got the Delhaize, lots of Senegals.
Okay. Now that poster there shows a lot of different sizes, but can you speak to the pretty big size range that goes from, say, a Senegal up to a ornate or a tiger?
Do you mean like, is this accurate in the size scale?
Just what someone would expect if they're interested in getting one of these fish for their aquarium, what size these fish would grow to so they can be prepared.
Well, this scale here, that is showing you 1 foot to 12 inch right there. And I tell you, these ornates get huge. They get massive. I've seen some really big tigers. And Sorgi, I'm pretty sure they're one of the biggest.
Yep.
They get monster.
It looks like they're kind of saying they get to be about 2 foot.
Yeah. There was a video recently of one that was 83 centimeter.
Right.
I think that was a weeksy. I can't remember.
And how's that compared to a Senegal?
Well, the biggest Senegal I've probably seen is around 35 to 40, I suppose, centimeters.
Right.
So they don't get very big, but you can get some really big ones.
Okay. And growth rate for these fish, are they going to take a long, long time to get that size, which is what most people hope when they buy what's considered to be a monster fish? Or do they reach that size pretty quickly and people need to be very considerate of their aquarium?
They have growth rates like most fish do. If you feed them the right food, they can grow pretty quick. I had a friend that grew his. He didn't spray his house at all. for cockroaches, and so he would, every time he saw a cockroach, he would grab it with the tongs and he'd throw it in the top of the tank and feed it to his Senegal. And it was the biggest Senegal I've ever seen. It was huge.
All right. Okay. All right, mate. Well, thanks for that. Turn the camera back around, and I've got another question for you, and then we'll get into some of the Senegal, some of the breeding and the spawning type video we've got. Make yourself comfortable. Yeah, so the question is from Gil, from Gil's Fish Room. Ricky, Gil's from down at, oh, shit. That's Gil. Somewhere down near bloody Mildura. I can't remember the name of his but he's a freshwater keeper, keeps mostly South American stuff. He asks, are the tiger Bichirs more aggressive than the Senegals? Is there a difference in aggressive levels?
I'm definitely noticing it in the fry, raising them up. They're very aggressive. They just want to eat each other. I didn't have that problem with the Senegals, but the tigers, man, they just want to eat each other.
Okay. So that means you have to separate them out, or is it a density issue?
I kind of group them in their sizes and try and keep them fed so they're not too aggressive. But as soon as one gets bigger, you just got to separate them.
Right. Okay. All right. There's a question here from Quade, who might be asking this question because he thinks there's a resemblance in the fish to this amphibian, the axolotl. And I got to say, mate, for someone, I really don't. I did a little bit of research on good old YouTube and Google just so I could know something about these fish before tonight. But from the layperson, I guess, not saying Quade's a layperson, but from the average fish keeper, they look like a cross between axolotl, a lungfish, a flathead, a lizard, a dragon. They look like all those things that are rolled into one, don't they?
Yeah, like a mythical creature.
Pretty much. I don't know if you've ever kept axolotls, mate, but how do they compare to keeping axolotls?
Look, I haven't kept an axolotl since I was a kid, so I'm trying to remember, but they're very similar because it took me about 8 months of just baby Senegals dying on me before I worked out what to do with them. And I actually turned to axolotls, and I did a bit of research on them. And I found a couple of tricks from like the external gills, and just like their external gills get clogged on axolotls from certain foods. So I sort of carried that across. So I don't know if they're easier to keep. I think birches are easy to keep. That's probably my answer to it. They're pretty simple. They're one of the hardiest fish I've ever owned.
Okay. Well, I think the biggest issue with axolotls is temperature. In a place like Brisbane,
temperature, yeah.
It'd be hard to keep axolotl tanks cool without a chiller. What's the temperature requirement for most Bichirs?
I would keep them in the range between 22 to 28, something like that. Yeah, that's what I keep them at anyway, just to keep all the water stable, and they seem the happiest in that condition.
Okay, 22 to 28. That's
I wouldn't really. Yeah, well, I wouldn't really keep them anything lower than that. I know they can take it, but yeah, I wouldn't. I'd try and keep them at the 28-degree mark if you can.
So here's a question for you. You got a similar situation with your shed to what I've got in my shed. You've attempted to do a bit of insulation around the IBCs, but you're going to have some temperature coming off or being affected by the surface of the IBCs. You haven't insulated the shed as such, and you're in Brisbane. Do you have troubles with a lot of heat in the summertime? Like, do your tanks get up to 30 degrees or something in the summertime? And can they
they do.
Do your heaters run like around the clock during the winter time, trying to keep the water up to 22 degrees?
Yeah, I only really turned my heaters. It was about 2 months ago, I think I turned the heaters on. But during summer, it gets quite hot. Birches prefer to breathe the air in the atmosphere. So they'll actually come to the top of the water to breathe. So sometimes I'll just do things like lower the water a bit so they've got get a bit more airflow through the top. It does get warm in it, but they seem like they're from Africa. They seem to handle it pretty well.
Have you thought about using fans for evaporative cooling like reef tank keepers do?
I have got fans in the shed mounted to the walls, so I do run them aimed at the tanks.
Yeah, you've got to get that ripple across the surface of the water. That way you can see the water's moving and you get that evaporative cooling.
I have seen that, yeah.
Yeah. All right, mate. Well, let's...
they handle it well.
There is a question here from Pratty87, which... Pratty, I'm not going to directly ask that question of Ricky now because, funnily enough, that question is part of a segment that comes a bit later on. I've warned Ricky about my segments. Hard chat. So you will get the information from Ricky regarding your question, mate. Fry Duck, how you going, mate? Okay, Ricky, what I'm going to do... I'm going to add some video to the stage and I want you to have a little bit of a talk through it. I can pause it and rewind it as necessary. This is about your adult fish, I think. What have we got going on here?
Okay, so they look like some fry that are probably like about 3 months old.
They're fry. I thought they were in a breeding group.
No, they're fry. They would have been one of the earlier batches because I used to have a mate that used to have so much of that Java moss and he'd just like give it to me and I filled a couple of 4-foot tanks with it and it worked out perfect because the Bichirs just love to hide in it. And, they grew really well in it actually.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So they're probably like 3-month-old, those fish.
So how big are they? They're fairly sizable, aren't they?
Well, they'd be about just over 10 centimeters maybe.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Now, these are the Senegals?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I think that means because of that situation, let me see if I can... I'm just going to add this video to the stage, but I think... Here we go. That's what I'm looking for in adults. Is this egg-laying behavior? Hang on.
Yes. Yeah.
Not the stingray. I'm trying to start it so we start with adults laying eggs, and then I've got some video for the eggs, and then video for the fry, and then the juvenile grow out, and then we're back to the start again. So that's hopefully what I've been trying to do. So you go and walk us through what you're doing for egg laying here, or how to promote
this is
it.
That's okay. Well, this is typical behavior. If you ever see this, that's them laying eggs. So the male's trying to get under the female with his fin cupping, and he's flicking sperm on the eggs. They're actually quite sticky, so that's what makes them stick to the mop.
I'm just going to rewind a bit.
Usually, all you like this. I find that they breed really well on a full moon for some weird reason. So if I know one's coming, I usually do a pretty big water change and chuck the mops in. I don't leave the mops in there. I like to take them out.
That was my next question. So is there a way that you can instigate, promote,
like trigger them?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I found that they get lazy if you leave the mops in. So you kind of want to deprive them of a mop, do your water changes, condition them, feed them all the good food. Do that for about a week. And then when you chuck the mop in, a couple of days later, you usually get that kind of behavior. And,
so it's the presence of the spawning substrate. Do you ever find that if you separate the boy from the girl and then you condition them separately and then introduce them, that it makes them horny?
I don't know because I've never done that. I know people do. There's people have them in a community and they'll take them from that and put them in a spawning tank. Whereas I kind of my fish live in their spawning tank.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go back to, hang on. Sorry, mate. Let me just get rid of that. All right. So that is not, all right. No. Now, eggs. Hang on, mate. Oh, what am I doing? I'm not on form tonight, Ricky. I apologize.
That's okay.
These are, hang on, these are eggs.
They're the eggs. That's what you're looking for. That's a fertilized egg.
Now, ask a silly question. There's no silly question. How you know the eggs are fertilized? They're strands of the woolen mop, I'm assuming. Do you take the entire mop out into a separate thing, or do you pick the eggs?
I used to pick the eggs, and I stopped doing that. And it was all pretty much by accident. I had a massive spawn one day, and I had all these mops with eggs on there, and I left them in the bucket, and I just got busy with life pretty much. And I come back about 3 days later, and I had found that they had hatched in a bucket of water with no air stone. And I was like, you're kidding me. And there was babies all through there. So now I virtually just put them in a tub with an air stone, and I just hatch them that way.
And no heater? Doesn't matter.
No heater, no. Well, it depends, mate. Yeah, I do put heaters in if they're spawning over winter. This was over summer. This happened, so it was around Christmas time, December. But yeah, I'll put heaters in there. The heaters definitely speed up the hatch rate, and it's kind of a race against the fungi. So if the water gets too cold, they usually go bad quick.
Do you ever use methylene blue to?
Not with the Senegals. Not with the Senegals, but I just, like the batch of tigers I've got now, they spawn for about a week straight. So I had a few goes of hatching the eggs. And by the end of it, I was like, what's going on? They're not hatching. Maybe I thought it was the first spawn, the eggs weren't that very good quality. But I tried methylene blue on them, and it seemed to have a difference. So I have only just started using it, and yeah.
It's pretty much something that rainbow fish guys do across the board, because rainbow fish eggs are really prone to getting fungus on them. These are eggs that are developing, are they, Ricky?
That's probably like a 2-day egg. That's an egg after 2 days after being laid.
Okay. And how many? And just to clarify, how long before they hatch out?
They take about 3 days to hatch if the water's warm enough.
Wow, it's so fast, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, it is.
After 3 days, you're ending up with something that looks a bit like this.
So those ones are probably about a week old. Yeah, they're about a week old, those ones, maybe 5 or 6 days.
All right. Well, we might have some more footage in this juvenile Bichirs video that I've got going on here. Let me remove that and put this one in. I tried to, they're like little tadpoles. So just clarify, we've got a sea of worms, and I'm assuming that they're black worms, are they?
Yes, Ricky? That's correct. That's live blackworm. Yep.
Do you breed or culture your own blackworms?
No, I was thinking about doing it when the supply of worm was unsteady, but I seem to be able to get it quite easily now. So I just buy it when I need it. Try and have a little bit more than I generally need. That's
pretty lucky, because sometimes it's hard. I mean, there's obviously a lot of choice with aquarium stores up in Brizzy.
Yeah. Look, if you ever need live blackworm, Mad Aquariums in Underwood, they're pretty good for it.
Okay. And you basically it looks like you almost just flood these plastic crates with blackworms, and then leave them in there with the fry.
Yeah, so the Senegals, I do that with the Senegals, simply because you want to try and get. I've found if you get food into them as quick as you can, the better the survival rate. So I don't. Yeah, the reason I put them in the tubs is kind of so that they don't have to go looking for the food. It's right there.
Okay. So there's eggs that you've picked out by the looks of it, because there's no mop in there.
Yeah, that must be like the next 2 days later or something. 3 days later.
Are the eggs like, for example, when I used to pick rainbow fish eggs, the eggs are really quite firm. You won't damage them by picking them out by thumb and forefinger. Are the eggs of the Bichirs firm, or are they got to be a bit more delicate.
They are pretty firm. They're extremely sticky. Sometimes they're actually quite hard to get off your finger. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And the other question I've got is that some of these worms look like they're huge compared to these little Bichirs. Like they can they tear pieces off these worms, or how do they feed on such a large food item?
So some of those worms, what I'll do is I'll chop them up as small as I can sometimes, and they'll just go and chew on it. They'll just chew on a little piece of it.
Okay. And so there's no need to go like to try and start with things like micro worms or white worms or blood worms or brine shrimp.
I know guys that do use the micro worms, the grindle worms, what you call. I didn't have any success with it, but I know guys that use it and it worked for them. So you can, but I know the black worm just survive it. I think grindle worms only survive for like 20 something hours in the water.
Yeah.
Whereas in the black worm, you can leave them in there and it seems to last a lot longer.
So how often do you have to siphon out the black worms after a certain period of time in case they foul, or do you just leave them in there and they get eaten?
I've got a turkey baster and I virtually just suck up. I do like a gravel vac on the bottom with that and virtually just spit the worms out into the IBC down into the bottom part there. And sometimes they grow into other like bigger worms. So
okay, and then replenish the ones up top with some fresh ones.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, right. Okay. So, are we seeing external gills?
Yes, that's what you can see there.
Yeah, let me go back. That's what makes them look like little axolotls at that stage, isn't it?
Yep.
So is that big? Sorry, mate, go.
I was going to say, so like in your first 2 weeks, that's like a touch and go period. You'll get most of or all of your deaths in the first 2 weeks.
Right.
And then after that, you're pretty safe.
Have you found there's a reason why you get those deaths in the first couple of weeks? Is it just...
I have a couple theories, but I'm not 100% sure. But the things I've done have sort of weeded those problems out. So the cause doesn't really matter. It's just follow the process and everything works kind of thing. I'm guessing that it's things like their right lung develops before their left lung, and it's to pass gas out. And I think if they get too bloated, they can just roll over and die from that. Their external gills can clog up also, which is one thing I found from axolotls. And I also think, I'm not sure on this one, but I think if they're in too deep a water, it can have an effect on them forming their swim bladder too. But they're just theories. It's just my opinions.
There's a comment here from Praddy that says their growth rate must be extraordinary if those pictures we saw earlier were 3-month-old fish. They were the ones that were swimming in the Java moss.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, like it blows me away sometimes. I think it matters. Like if I raise a smaller batch, they grow a lot quicker. But the more you have together, the slower they grow.
Friar Duck asks, what about green water or live diatoms? Am I hazarding a guess that these guys just feed on food that's a lot larger than green water and diatoms, and so they do have quite
a small mouth, so it might work. You know what? I might actually give that a try. I might give it a go and see what happens, because that is actually, you can just make your own green water, which would be great. But I'm not sure. You'd have to give it a go, to be honest.
The other thing that I used to like doing with rainbow fish were micro worms, not white worms, but micro worms, and they're the ones that you do with the piece of bread and the yeast. Or
yes, yep.
And then you just wipe your finger around the outside and just put it in the water and just start the culture with a fresh piece of bread each time.
Yep. I know the ones you're talking about.
Yeah. All right. So we're cracking on. So talk us through your floating basket situation here.
All right. So this must have been in the earlier days when I first started breeding. Yeah, I'm sure they're just loaded full of fry and blackworm. I usually try and keep them in those tubs as long as I can until I start seeing aggression.
Are the tubs, they're just a plastic tub with a pool noodle cut around the outside, zip tied on. Are there holes in the sides to let the water pass through into the IBC, or are they a separate body of water?
No, so yes, you're correct. They are just zip tied on with the pool noodle, and I've drilled holes in the side of it, which took ages, but it's just a 1.5 mil drill bit.
Right. I was about to say that'd be very small drill bits, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Yeah. I actually had to like run masking tape around the shaft of the drill bit to get it in the chuck of the drill because it was that small.
Right. All right. What about here, mate?
So this looks like some fry that probably about 2 weeks old that I'm moving. That's why the worms are in there. I must have just tipped the tub into this container.
Okay.
Because I used to have to move them, quite a lot. And now that I do the tub system, it seems to save me a lot of time.
I tried to find some footage where they would jump up from the tiny ones to the next size, but I must admit I couldn't quite find the that sort of what looked to be a 3 or 4 centimeter size. I had trouble finding that. So we're jumping up to a little bit of a bigger fish by the looks of it now. And these are Senegals, I'm assuming?
Yeah, they will be.
These is your early days of your fish room as well, by the looks of it.
Yeah, yep. This would have been early days. So that's one that was probably, I had to separate. That was just bigger than the rest.
Now this I like. This I liked. Tell us about your little filtration system here.
I think that's an internal pump out of one of those Aqua One fish tanks where they have the filter at the back. And it's just a hang-on pot that I grabbed from down the back, hanging plants.
Yeah.
And I think I drilled a hole and put a sponge filter on the bottom as a pre-filter, and I was just mucking around with some bits and pieces I had. It actually worked really good. And I used to just change that bit of mesh there, just clean that.
Do you still run that system?
No. I was going to try and make a version of this that was a little bit bigger, but when I cladded all the top of my IBCs, wouldn't fit over there, and I thought, it's just too much effort for what it really was.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
What's their eyesight like?
They have pretty bad eyesight. They got these nobular glare, whatever they're called, the little stubs on their nose. They use them to smell through the water.
I think what we're going to see is a whole shit ton of fry in one of your IBCs shortly.
Yep.
Juveniles, I should say, not.
This is when I was just changing things, experimenting different ways of growing them out. I think they actually, from memory, I think they used to eat that duckweed. So I think they're eating dried blackworm in this video, just floating on the surface.
So you've been pretty successful breeding these the Senegals. Very successful.
Yeah.
How do you find the mark? Oh, they got some cherry shrimp down the bottom there.
Yeah.
There we go. So what they'll eat from the bottom and they'll eat from floating as well. They eat anywhere. They're not particular.
Yeah. They do. They'll eat from the top or the bottom.
They look like a bottom feeding fish, based on their, their anatomy, but obviously they're pretty versatile.
Well, insects are a big part of their diet, so I think in the wild they would feed off the top more than you think.
Okay.
Yeah, you can get them quite tame actually. These must have been ones I was getting ready to ship.
So what size are these fish?
Generally, I sell them when they get to about 10 centimeters. So they'll be anywhere between 8 to 10.
8 to 10. Got a question for you, mate. I think it's just about the okay, cool. Dingo Dave asks, Ricky, was that coral in the IBC? He's put some in his African cichlid tank. I think he's referring, was it Texas Holy Rock?
It is a rock. I don't think it's Texas Holy. I haven't actually been able to find out what it is, but I thought it was Texas Holy, to be honest.
I'm trying to rewind to find it. There it is. There
it is.
Are you putting it in there for the buffering effect of the limestone?
No, it's just hidey holes for them. Somewhere from the hide. I had a bunch of this rock, and I never like to get rid of my rock. I just collect all my rock or driftwood over the years, and you never know when you're going to reuse it.
Okay. Now, where are we up to? Somewhere there. So you're getting ready to sell these fish. Do you want to talk a bit about how you sell your Senegals? Do you do direct to the public, or are you doing to retail stores, or what do you got going on? I can see you got an oxygen cylinder over the back there.
I used to sell to the public, not so much anymore. I pretty much just any pet shops that want to buy them, depending on what I have. Yeah, I usually just deal with the pet shops now.
All right.
I've sent them to a lot of. I've done a lot of shipping recently. A lot to Melbourne, Sydney, some to Tassie.
Is there a reason why you got away from selling to locals or the public directly, pick up locally?
Really, honestly, it's just to give the pet shops a fair go at selling them. If you sell to the public and the pet shops, you're kind of going to do two different prices, aren't you? And they don't like that. Yeah. It's better just to let the pet shops have a fair go at selling their stock. And yeah, I think it's just a better way to do it.
So how have you managed to get a list of retail stores that are on board to buy from you? Did you sort of knock on doors and get on the phone and call them up and say, hey, I've got this, I'm a breeder of this, do you want to know when I've got some available? Or like how'd you get your customer base of retail stores is what I'm asking.
I guess like I started with all the shops that I frequently went to. I know a lot of shops in Brisbane. There are a lot of shops in Brisbane. And then I had quite a few, and I thought, let's see what other shops are around. So I made a list on Google, all the shops, all their phone numbers, and I pretty much rang them and messaged them just saying what I had. And virtually the ones that replied, we met each other, and yeah, we've been selling fish. It's been good.
Okay. Can I ask if, because one thing that's really, it can be okay for certain hobbyists. What I'm talking about is store credit. But when you're breeding large numbers of fish and you're trying to do it as a meaningful sideline of income, obviously you want to be paid in cash as opposed to getting store credit. And when you're sending fish to Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane, obviously you want to get paid as a supplier. Did you have any issues there with getting stores that were reluctant to pay you as opposed to give you credit?
No, not really. No, to be honest, no. I think I just offered them a good enough price that they were happy to make a deal.
Do you think also it might have been because you had a product that they wanted to have badly? Whereas if you go in there with some guppies or some Corydoras or something, which they can get otherwise, they're less eager to give cash, or not cash, but pay money, as opposed to something that they just can't get normally, and therefore, you're in demand.
I definitely think, yeah, that had something to do with it. The fact that they weren't as common when I first started breeding them.
Yeah.
I think that's the right answer.
Do you want to turn the camera around and just show us your bagging station? Tell us a bit about where you get your foam boxes from, your bagging of them. You got the oxygen cylinder set up there, just so that people that are, again, thinking about breeding some things in their home setup, and they want to get to that next stage where they're sending fish, can learn a bit more about the handling and the bagging of them.
I don't have any styrofoam boxes at the moment, but I've actually just got a gas bottle from Bunnings, the oxygen one.
Yep.
With the air regulator. There you got your air gun, and
yep. So that's pure oxygen.
I've actually, just pure oxygen, and I've actually just bagged them up here as I'm catching them out. I'll set them up in one of these tubs, fill the bags up, double bag, double rubber band. I think it's something like 10 kilos to a box. So you really got to measure your water out. Like one liter is 1 kilo, but then you got to think of the box and everything else. It all adds up very quickly.
So what size?
You get in trouble when you go over.
Are you sourcing brand new styrofoam boxes, or you're trying to reuse ones you get from aquarium stores, or what are you doing? Yeah,
the guys at the aquarium shops are pretty good to me. They'll give me leftover boxes that they've used to buy fish in with, and some places will sell you a styrofoam box for $10. It's like I'm only really ever sending 2 boxes at a time, nothing more than that.
Yeah.
It depends on what fish you're sending, how you pack them. Bichirs seem to be pretty. I haven't had a death yet, put it that way, with sending fish, but I am putting 1 fish per bag.
And we're talking about, just turn your camera around, mate. So we're talking about those large size styrofoam boxes, not the smaller ones. The bigger ones that you get from.
That's.
There's 2 sizes, isn't there? There's your little one, which is about the size of a shoebox, and then there's the bigger one, which you fit you like a broccoli size box.
Yeah, the bigger ones. I think they're rated to 20 kilo, the seafood rated ones.
And how many fish do you put in those?
I think they can fit.
Well,
I can't remember, to be honest. It was 15, maybe. I think it was maybe 15, or maybe we fit a bit more. It depends how you pack them and the size of the bag.
Yeah. Can you double stack them?
Yeah. Yes, you can. Yep.
Yep. And what freight method do you use to get these boxes down to Sydney and Melbourne?
So I use Virgin Air. There's Virgin Air at Brisbane Airport. It's right next to the airport. You pretty much just ring up, tell them what you've got, how big it goes on the size of your box, and then they'll give you a weight. Yeah. So to ship fish to Sydney, it keeps going up like $20 every time I do it, I swear. And I think it's about $207 now to send a 10 kilo box to Sydney.
Right.
So
and then it goes to the airport. But what happens down that end then for the aquarium store to get their product from the airport? Is that on them, or is it couriered from there?
No, usually they'll pick it up from the airport, so they'll go in there and grab it themselves.
So so those retail stores are doing more than what they would normally, wouldn't they? They're paying you money, and they're going into the airport to pick up their freight, as opposed to having it couriered to their doorstep like they would if they were getting Aquarium Industries or Bayfish or whatever it might be, Cairns Marine kind of a shipment. So clearly they want your product, and clearly that helps when
Yeah.
when you've got a product that they want.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes they're buying 50. Like, I think the biggest order I've sent was probably 50 down to it might have been Sydney, maybe it's Melbourne. I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fish going down there.
Yeah. All right. Let's just see where. Oh, that's not it, mate. Hang on a sec. That's it. All right. Let's have a quick squeeze here. You can tell us what's going on. You've got a whole horde of Senegals.
Okay, so I would have just pulled everything out of the IBC to make it easy to catch them. I'm probably bagging them up.
Oh, that's a random one, but is that your little short body?
That's the short body when he was little.
Yeah.
He was very little. He
Okay.
grew up in a 3 foot to himself.
That little guy's eating from the surface, obviously.
Yep. Yeah. So normally what I used to do was I'd feed them live blackworm, and then I'd feed them a mix of live freeze-dried blackworm, which would float on the top, with a mix of vibrobite, which looked like blackworm. And they would just drop down.
Do you ever use pellets?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'll show you the vibrobites I use. So these are the vibrobites. Where's the camera?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, they look like little red worms. They love that.
Pratty asked, do you have a website?
No, I don't have a website. Not at the moment. I thought about it, but no, I don't. I have a mate he builds websites, and he's sort of started doing one, but I don't know. I don't know what happened to the idea. Didn't go on with it.
Would a Bichir be suitable tank mate for angels or discus?
I think they would be all right with discus, considering they have pretty much the same diet. Angelfish, yeah, they'll probably be all right with angelfish.
Would the high temperatures of a discus tank cause any issues?
Look, I'm not too sure. I've never kept discus with Bircher before. Yeah, so maybe I'm not the best one to answer that one.
All right. Well, that being said, Ricky, it's time for... Now, these are some questions that are going to be asked to try and get a bit more of a deep dive into your mind and into your fish keeping background and hope for the future. So, Ricky, of all the fish in our hobby, what was it that made you dedicate your entire garage to this group of Polypterus, the Bichirs?
Which fish was it?
No. What made you dedicate all that space to this one group of fish?
I think it was it was during COVID when I started breeding them, and we were all in lockdown and we didn't really have anywhere to go. So I think it just kept me busy, and I got more interested the more I did it. And I just ended up filling the space. I wanted to breed more and more, and I was enjoying it, so why not?
Did you find the more you got involved in the one family of fish, the more interested you became?
Yeah, definitely. There were so many mysteries to the Senegals. I barely heard of any other bircher. I didn't even really know there was that many other ones when I first got into them.
Yeah.
And then, because they're still pretty rare, but they were a lot rarer back then. So it's always interesting finding out new species. What's
the going retail costs of this? Is not one of my hard chat questions, Ricky, but what's the going retail cost for the range of Bichirs that you could get?
Oh man, depends on what state you're buying. Down south, like your ways, New South Wales and Victoria are pretty pricey. Depends on the size you're buying too. For I've seen most birch, like Senegals used to be about $250 each. I think they're down to about 100, between 200 to 100 now for like a 10 centimeter one. Tiger birches around the 650 mark for a 10 centimeter.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and then you have Delhaize's. I think they're around the 900. They're all. It depends on where you buy them and the availability at the time. But you're probably looking at $900 for most of your rare ones for a 10 centimeter fish. Sometimes they can go, like I've seen platinums for $1,200 to $1,500 just a platinum Senegal. So
wow,
they're not cheap.
Dingo Dave says that he just bought a Senegal for $150.
Yeah, that's a good price.
Dingo Dave, whereabouts do you live, mate? I got a feeling you might be in South Australia. Was it? No, he's in Queensland. He just bought his from Smith's Aquarium on the weekend.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Right, Ricky, if you had to abandon your projects with the Bichirs in your fish room and focus entirely on a completely different group of fish, what would that fish be and why?
Just to keep or to breed? Like just...
You're going to substitute your Bichirs in those tanks for something else. What is it? So what you're doing there now.
Okay. It'd probably be... I've always wanted to have a crack at peacock bass, you know, all the different types.
Okay.
I've kept them before. I've kept them many times before. I've never bred them. I think that would be interesting. It's either peacock bass or mangrove jacks. I love mangrove jacks.
That's going to be a hard one to breed in those tanks, though, isn't it?
No, that's why I was like, is it keeping or breeding them?
Yeah.
But I have to get rid of them and get a bigger tank.
Yes, you would need to have a bigger tank. This is a question for you that I'm very curious about. I'm going to read this one off because it's a bit of a long question. You've been given a hypothetical display aquarium with dimensions of 8 foot by 4 foot by 2 foot, so 2.4 meters by 1.2 meters and 2 foot high. What is the ideal setup that you would do in this aquarium for a Bichir display? I want to know about your substrate, the hardscape, the composition of it, the fish that you would stock with it. Would you put any other fish in with the Bichirs? Planting, lighting, filtration, go.
All right. The first thing that comes to mind would have to be red sand. The red sand makes the birches just look so much nicer on the red sand.
Okay. Where do you get red sand from?
A lot of people use water jet garnet. They use that. It depends on what filtration you made, because sand can really wreck an impeller. So
yeah. Because the only red sand I know is the bricky sand. That's pretty fine though, and muddy.
I got some sand through a friend at Sunshine Coast, and he sourced it for me. So I couldn't tell you exactly where I got my red sand from, but I know you can get it. It would be expensive to do a tank like that, but
yeah. All right. So we've got red sand. What else? Don't tell me you haven't thought about this. I'm sure you've thought about it.
No. Well, you said putting birches in. If I had a tank that big, I'd probably be boring and just put a big mangrove jack in there. You know, I think.
That's not a question.
I know. So it's like big tank. It would be full of birches, that's for sure. I'd probably have a combination of rock and driftwood and just have it semi-planted. I don't want them breeding everywhere. The possibilities are endless, really, aren't they?
Do they interfere with plants?
Well, no, they don't. You'll probably get a bit of crossbreeding going on if you had it heavily planted, which is fine because I'll probably just eat the babies anyway. But a lot of guys that I've seen with birch-only tanks don't have anything in it. It's just sand. It's just the whole tank is just sand. It's pretty boring, to be honest, but I think the birches make up for it.
Is that because they got that monster fish keeping mentality where it's sort of like the fish is the display?
It could be, but when you get a lot of birches together, they do this thing called packing, and it's like a safety thing. So they'll just all lay on the bottom next to each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could be true. That could be the reason why they have that monster fish keeping mentality. But
all right.
I don't know. I'd have to do something like a
whole rundown on Anubias and African water fern and tiger.
Sorry, mate.
Some sort of funky kind of lighting over it, and then okay. What fish can you keep with Bichirs? You got a display tank. Are they fast enough and active enough as a predator to take down smaller fish? Like, let's stick with an African theme, Congo tetras, a large tetra.
Yep.
Can they take those down or not?
I believe they probably could. The only thing you don't want to keep with them is anything that'll fit in their mouth, like will choke on them. You don't want to keep plecos with them. Plecos like to suck on their slime coat. They get addicted to it, and the birches suffer pretty badly. Flagtails are horrible to put with birches. They will just, they'll suck the whole slime coat off real quick.
Okay.
Most fish should be okay with it. As long as they can't fit in their mouth, they should be okay. And
if they can fit in their mouth, let's say you were to keep a whole school of neon tetras, would they be fast? Would adult Senegals, for example, be fast enough to catch them?
Oh, I think they would get them at night time, definitely. Yeah, I think you'd end up with no tetras left in a short period of time.
And they're nocturnal predators, are they?
Yes. Yep. They turn into little monsters at night time.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, that is the end of Hard Chat. That was I got to say, Ricky, I was expecting a lot more from you out of that question, mate. Hey? You should tell everybody that your display tank inside contains what?
A bloody jack in there. There's only a small one at the moment.
All right, mate. Ricky, there's a little part of the evening which I like to do a shout out to somebody, to something, to a product, whatever it might be. I should start this by doing. So this is an opportunity where if there's somebody that's helped you out in your hobby, in keeping Bichirs, in getting them, in learning about them, if there's a product, a resource, a source of information, anything that might be of value to other people that you want to let them know, now is the time for you to do your shout out. Go.
So probably Jack at Mad Aquariums has always looked after me having live blackworm, and he's done his best to always have it when he can. I suffer pretty bad when he doesn't have that.
Okay. Is Jack the owner of Mad Aquariums?
Yeah. He's probably. I have a mate who works for Delura as well. He's a sales rep there. He's always been a pretty good mentor.
Yeah.
Delura have a lot of good products, so definitely look them up.
Are you using some of their gear there?
I used to. I had a few of their sponge filters. I used to use them, but they just weren't practical with what I was doing. But they were great in my display tank. Yeah.
Okay.
They have lots of different stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm familiar with their saltwater stuff. I've only got one of their lights. I haven't got anything else, but I'm familiar with their saltwater stuff. Mad Aquariums. That's not a bad little store. A lot of cichlids when I was there. I bought my archer fish from Mad Aquariums.
They got some lungfish in the other day when I was there.
Okay, and they got that big display tank on the right-hand side when you go in with the big giant gourami. That's the one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's cool. Had some nice displays in there too, some nice planted displays. Well, I've got myself a bit of a shout out too. I'm going to share the screen because let me see if I can do it. Share. There we go. My shout out for tonight is Century water filters. So I was in the process of setting up my RODI system for my fish shed. I've been attempting to get away from using RODI water as my freshwater top off for my saltwater aquariums. But in the end, I realized I've got to step up my game and get onto RODI so I don't have my phosphate and my silicate issues. And what I realized is that these guys are really good. They've got a great source of bulk DI resin. Let me see if I can find that. And it is seriously cheap. So if you've got some RODI, here we go here, for a marine aquarium, and you want to get some good, cheaper DI resin, look, you can buy a kilo of it for $60. You can go up to buying 10 kilos of it. And it's really economical way of getting it. And the other thing is that Marlin, you can't phone them. That's the only thing. They're up on the Gold Coast, the Sunshine Coast. But what I will say is that when you fill in this little form here and you message or go through an email, the guy called Marlin is a really, really good help, and he gets back to you really quick. So that would be my shout out. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with some of the more normal sources of RODI in the reef keeping hobby, but just so you know, there are some other options out there. And am I back on the screen? Am I back on the screen?
Yeah.
And yeah, look up Century water filters. Yeah, there you go, Quade. You've been needing some stuff. They're up your way somewhere up on Maroochydore. They're at Maroochydore, I think. Yeah, check out Century water filters. All right. Now, where were we, mate? Ricky, I think we were finishing off with our juvenile. Yeah, our juveniles. And I think, that just shows a bit of your IB setup with your insulation behind it. Bit of hand feeding going on. Look at the much food that guy's trying to stuff down his gob.
Yeah, watch your mate.
Tubifix worms, are they?
No, that's just freeze-dried blackworm.
Freeze-dried blackworms. Okay, all right. I'll remove that. Now we've got to go through some of your sub-adults. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at about a 10 to 15 centimetre long fish, are we?
Yeah, probably, around that, 10 to 12 maybe, something like that, yeah. Now this guy, he's eating vibrobites.
Hang on, I'll just rewind, mate. I'll just rewind. They're the Hikaria vibrobites.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Do you find, is there a reason why you choose those pellets or those sticks?
Yeah, because they look like blackworm.
So okay.
So I kind of get them off the live blackworm and onto that pellet.
Right. Okay. All right. Now it looked like in the next bit of video, is he still got his external gills going on?
Yeah. So I found when I had them in the Java moss, they kept their gills a little bit longer, and I think it's because they had more places to hide. But could be wrong.
Yep. This is some crazy footage here. I'm surprised he didn't get himself stuck in the mouth of the ray.
No, so yeah, they're pretty cheeky. So that's a prawn.
That's a prawn for sense of scale. Okay, because at first, I'll just rewind. At first, they look like they're pretty big fish, but then when you realise that's a whole prawn.
Yep.
Did you keep the rays for long, Ricky, or what happened with the ray situation? That was in this tank, mate.
Yeah, it was. That's the red sand I'm talking about. I can't remember. I think I kept those rays for about a year, and I sort of just wanted. What did I want that tank for? I think I was going to breed something in it, and it wasn't going to work with what I had. Might have been some ornates that I got. Can't quite remember.
Right.
Because I used to use this. tank as a grow out for birches before I had my IBCs.
Right. So clearly these guys feed mostly by smell because I'll just go back to where they're, that's not right. You can see they're trying to get underneath the raised disc, so they can't see the food, but they can smell it.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah, they rely on smell quite a lot.
Yeah. All right, we're back to that spawning.
Sometimes you'll see they'll grab onto a prawn and they'll rip a chunk off and they do death rolls like a crocodile, and it's pretty cool to watch.
I've got a question here. Oh no, that's something different, mate. That's not a question. That's one of the guys in our chat. You can see up in the corner of the screen there, Reef Viking Fish Replicas. Quaid the Ginger Ninja makes replicas of various fish and out of resin, and then does a very, very good paint job on them. He's got, that's his website, Facebook page up there. So there's some requests for a kingfish and a regal angel. Comment here from Dingo Dave that your freeze-dried blackworms is very expensive.
Yeah, it is. I think it's about $90 for. I can't remember how many grams. It's not much. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
I try not to use it.
Have you tried Tubifex worms instead?
No, can you get that freeze dried?
Yeah, in those cubes.
Yeah, okay. This is very similar. No, I haven't tried that yet. I virtually just used the freeze dried blackworm to get them off the live. It was pretty much just like a transition food between the vibrobites and the live blackworm.
Yeah. All right. Question from Pratty. Do you chase water parameters for your Bichirs, Ricky, or do you just run with what you have?
Yeah, I just run with what I have. I don't chase any parameters. I just try and keep it simple. Just keep it stable.
Do they care?
Yeah.
Is there a preference, mate?
No, I don't think they. No, I don't think they really matter. I think they come from a broad variety of different parameters. So, no, I don't think it really matters, to be honest. And like the Brisbane water is pretty horrible. I don't know if you know, but it is terrible.
Brisbane River
and
looks
they breed
like
in it. No, we've probably got probably the worst water in the country. But.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter if the water's soft or if the water's harder and more alkaline. It doesn't make a difference.
I don't think it does. I know guys that do breed them and they mess with the GH and the KH and all that kind of stuff, and I think they get results from it. But I think as long as you're doing a water change, and that'll trigger them. The bigger the water change, the better. Try and take as much water as you're game enough to take out.
Okay. All right. So this is pretty much the same sort of question again, mate. Ricky, you may have answered this. What is the best water parameters for Bichir? I've had one of my African cichlid tank for a couple of years, acclimated slowly. So again, like you're saying, you don't think it really matters too much. Excuse me.
No, as long as it's stable. Because I think you run into problems when you try and start chasing parameters. You're always taking stuff out or you're adding stuff. Depends on your setup, really.
Yeah. Well, I think it might vary with people that have different water chemistry. So I understand there might be some American viewers that watch this on replay because they'll be all asleep right now. And I believe some of the North American values are really, really hard water, very highly mineralized, very alkaline, high pH.
Yeah.
Which is the reason why African cichlids were so common over there, or so popular over there, because it was just easy. Yeah. And Singing Ding Dong 969 says, apparently 150 years ago, the Brisbane River was clear as gin.
Oh, wow.
But we made the muddiness. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to have a bit of a talk about your, is it the tigers, I think, which you were excited about with the full moon coming up?
Yeah, yeah.
And was it the tigers that you were talking about, trying to get them to spawn?
Yeah, I'm trying. Well, I'm trying to get them all to spawn at the moment, but usually before the full moon is when I'll start. The week before it, I'll start on my preparations to try and trigger a spawn.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get you. There's a question here from Mason Areno. How you going, Mason? About the different species you're breeding, which we've kind of been through, mate. But it was the Senegals. You got the tigers. You got the palmas, and you've got the
Delhaises.
You were telling me before, we'll get you to turn your phone around and then you can show us those species. You were talking about the bigger species that you were really keen with this full moon coming up to try and get them to spawn.
Yeah. Something's kind of distracting me at the moment because I am trying to breed them. But have a look at these tigers right now. They're sitting on top of each other. I am expecting them to spawn in the next day or two. I don't want to spook them, but...
So is that so you introduced that mop, what, just a few days ago or yesterday or something?
Yeah. So I only put this mop in 2 days ago. But they were all stacked on top of each other, but they've sort of like moved them all around the tank. Now, if you can kind of see, I believe that's the...
Oh yeah. What's that? That's the anal fin?
That's the anal fin.
And that's the boy on top?
No, that's a female sitting on top of a male. They're doing it the wrong way. Which is odd. I just saw it in the corner of my eye when I was talking to you before, and I go, are they spawning? But no. I might wake up to eggs tomorrow because usually the female won't be that close to the male. She gets irritated by him.
Yeah, that sounds like my marriage. You got to look forward to that, mate, as you get older.
Oh, mate. Yeah.
Hang on, have you got eggs on the strands already, are they? Look at those strands closest to the post of your stand. I'm sure I can see. Yeah. Are they little white eggs on there now?
I think that's speckles of sand. Yeah, that's sand.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be surprised because, man, last time they laid for a whole week straight, and there was eggs all through the sand. It was actually starting to annoy me. They didn't give me a break.
Right. So what is it about the full moon that you are saying is interesting for spawning?
Honestly, I don't really know what it's to do with the full moon. I've just noticed. I used to only have the Senegals, and they used to spawn regularly for me, but it was always around the full moon, and I sort of took note of it and went, there's got to be something to it. And then, I slowly got another species, another species, and the Delhaises are the same. They spawn for me on a full moon. I'm pretty sure these guys spawn for me on a full moon. I'm trying to work it out.
Does your fish room there have access to natural light all the time so they can get a natural photo period?
Yeah, they do. So that's the roller door to the outside of my house.
But do you
always stays up?
It always stays up.
No, that always stays up unless it's winter and it's really cold. I'll close it. But that's generally always up. So I'm probably a couple of weeks from starting to close this roller door. Okay. But they get the sun and they get the moonlight.
So they do know when the moonlight is different.
Yep. So
that now, call me silly, but am I right in thinking that there's a full moon once a month?
Yeah. Yep. So usually
Have you basically tried to calendarize the full moons and introduce your spawning mops the couple of days before, each month?
Yeah, I kind of just I do, but I kind of just look up at the sky at night time and go, oh, we're kind of like a week away from a full moon, and I just start doing a little water change each afternoon, feed them good quality food, and then a couple days just before the full moon, I'll really empty the water, fill it back up, and introduce the mops.
Yeah.
And then usually about 2 days later, I get some action.
Okay. All right. Well, that'd be interesting to find out if you let us know if you get those eggs tomorrow morning from the tigers down below.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Now so that's unusual. That they're not just stacked on like you were saying. That's unusual.
Yeah, that's unusual. They don't normally do that.
Yeah.
If they were breeding, you've seen that video of the Senegals doing it. These guys do it the same way.
Okay, and they're not. So they don't have to be a 60 centimeter long fish to breed like that. They'll breed it. Well, how long are they? About 30, 40?
Yeah, roughly about 40. Well, so with Senegals, the males need to be about a year and a half, and the females got to be at least about 3 years. And with the tigers, you generally want the girls to be 5 years old, and the boys probably around 3 years old. But they can probably be a little bit younger. The males, you got to be careful, but because the males want to breed real early and they just harass the females.
Okay, all right. And now you also told me that you've got some special fry. You haven't got the youngsters of the Senegals at the moment, but you've got a small number of juveniles from one of your other species there at the moment.
From the tigers, yes. From
these guys, is it?
Yep.
Do you want to show us those guys?
Yeah, we did show you one that was in their tub, but I'm letting him go.
Yeah, okay.
There's one hiding, I can just see him. He's just hiding under this sponge filter there.
Did you get a limited number of those, did you, in the batch?
Yeah, because I didn't have much luck with the eggs hatching, and I think I had like 40 of them, and I think I'm down to like 20 now, something like that.
Right.
Whereas in the Senegals, I'd probably get 100 to 200 survive.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's part of the reason why they're more common in the hobby, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just working that out myself. I think that's why it is.
Yeah. We're just being joined by Tanya. How you going, Tanya? Tan's Aquariums are down in South Australia. Tanya, do you breed fish? And if you do, what do you do for your egg treatment? Do you use methylene blue or anything like that to try and keep the fungus at bay? What fish are those again, Ricky?
So these are the Delhaises.
Delhaises. Okay. Are they big enough to breed yet?
Yeah, they've spawned for me a couple of times. I've got 2 or 3 spawns out of these guys.
And did you only just put those mops in a few days ago with the full moon coming, or what's the story?
Yeah. I pretty much did all the tanks at the same time. Right. So I pretty much come in here in the morning and I'm just really staring at the mops trying to find an egg, because they will eat them. They eat them pretty quickly.
You pull the mop out, squeeze it out, wring it out, get the water out and pick through it?
No, I'll grab one mop out and I'll chuck it in like a tub like that with an air stone or a little sponge filter.
Right.
And then I'll grab another mop and stack it back on top of there and leave one of them in there. And I just rotate the mops.
Oh, you don't try and pick through the mops at all. You just
No. I used to. But from what I understand, the eggs have an inner and an outer layer. And if you disturb the outer layer, the bacteria can get through the egg a lot easier, and it starts to eat the animal. So I try not to disturb the egg at all. I just chuck the whole mop in and yeah.
Okay. All right. And so those tiger juveniles you got down below there, what's the plan? Will you grow those up and sell them, or will you grow them up and try and increase your adult population for breeding later?
I think I'll sell these guys because they'll be like 5 years away before I can breed them. So I think yeah, what I'll do is I'll sell these guys, and maybe I'll buy some more cool birches with the money I make from it. I'm not sure yet. I was looking at getting this area here and running another row of IBCs and putting another 6 foot on top of it, and put some ornate birches in there and some platinum longfin Senegals that I've been looking at buying, and all sorts of stuff.
I'm assuming that they're the expensive ones, which is the reason why you haven't got to them yet, or the most expensive ones.
They are. And they're hard to find. Nobody wants to sell them. And the lady I want to buy them off lives in like Western Northern New South Wales. So it's a drive. It's a long drive to go get them. Yeah,
and she won't ship them. Mate, Tanya from South Australia uses methylene blue for her eggs.
Oh yeah, cool. Yep.
Might be worth having a play, maybe with some Senegals, just to see. I don't know.
Yep.
Very cool. All right, mate. What else? Anything else you got down below to show us?
No, this one's just got some tiger fry in here as well. That's that rock that he was talking about. I have this.
Yeah. It almost looks like sandstone, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got like a ready marble through it. I've got a few of them. I've got one in each IBC. It's pretty heavy. It's quite heavy.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll actually turn the air off.
Very good setup. I love the IBC setup you got going on below. I can see that being a perfect setup for things like freshwater stingray grow outs.
Yeah, I think you could do that actually.
You probably
it's pretty versatile.
The holding tanks probably need to be larger for the stingrays, but for growing up pups, the IBC setup would be good.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, there's one under this rock.
Oh yeah. So how long before they're saleable size?
I reckon. I'm not too sure. This is my first time raising these guys, but as soon as they get to about 8 to 10 centimeters, so I'll probably keep them for another month. We'll just see how they go. They're growing pretty quick, I will say.
And you'll have those sold off pretty easily, will you? Because they're not so common.
Yeah, because a lot of people have already asked for. Some people have asked me to buy the whole batch off me already, and I'm kind of telling them I don't actually know how many I've got or what I'm going to have ready. So just wait a month or so, and I'll let you know what I have.
Yeah. Ricky, there's a question here. Do you have a dream variety of Bichir that you haven't kept?
A dream variety
or species? Yeah.
I really want some Weeksy. I think that'd be cool. Which are these guys here.
Oh yeah, look a bit like a snakehead, like a channa.
Yeah, they have really big fins. And
what about the dirty big one at the bottom?
That one, and Sorgi. There's a few of them here. That big one, that's extinct. Yeah, that one's extinct.
Oh, okay.
That's just to show you how big they used to actually get.
Right.
It's called whatever that word is, Barthelii. Yeah. But they have, I know guys trying to breed these, but everyone seems to only have females. No one can get a male. So they'll be cool if somebody can work that out.
So we talked before about the species that are in Australia. You can pretty much get most species in Australia, or at least in the hush market, if not through retail stores. Can you?
I'm always surprised when I find out what we do have. A lot of guys that have that stuff, they don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah.
They don't want to get in trouble. There's probably more than you'd think here. Like, I didn't think we had all the species, but it turns out we probably have most of all the birches here. It's just a matter of finding someone that actually wants to sell them.
Is it hard going trying to develop the relationships with people whereby they treat you as someone that they can trust? You know what I mean? Like, you can't just. It's not just a Facebook group for, you know, rare Bichirs, and you go on and say, hey, can I buy your whatever type of that fish, and you don't know me from a bar of soap. I think people are going to be if they're a bit hush about it. How do you find yourself trying to get in where you can get the trust to get access to buying these unusual fish?
Sometimes it can be risky. I suppose you just talk to people, and sometimes they know somebody that has them, and you don't really know what you're getting until you see the fish. And I don't like the whole thing, to be honest. Like, I'd like for them to all be bred here. You know what I mean? Like, good healthy fish. But there's only one way to really stop stuff coming into the country, which is to breed them, so people stop smuggling them in.
Yeah. So they are being smuggled in, are they?
I believe so, but then again, I don't know, because they have been here for a long time. They've been here before. I think the laws changed in the 70s. I'm not sure, but they've been here a long time.
Yeah, okay.
People don't talk about what they've got. There's a lot of guys, a lot of collectors out there that no one's even heard of. It blows my mind all the time. Just, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Questions in the chat. We've got a bit of chat about trying to source IBCs for breeding and grow out. Whereabouts do you source your IBCs from, Ricky?
So I'll go on Marketplace and look for food grade ones. And then I'm always asking what's in it, because people will say they're food grade, but they've had like soap in it or something like that. So you've got to be careful. I got these IBCs are actually from the Tip Top factory that had white oil in it to lubricate the mixing machines. Yeah. So I found a guy that had a lot of them, and I've actually just bought them off Marketplace.
You know, the other one that I found, I look for ones that contain, it sounds odd, but I look for ones that have contained AdBlue. So, you know, really? You know, the fuel additive?
Yeah.
For I think it's only diesel engines, isn't it? AdBlue. I don't think it's only only diesel. Well,
for trucks, I think.
Yeah. Oh, and my van takes AdBlue too. But AdBlue is a combination of purified water and urea, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
So urea is a nitrogen fertilizer, and purified water or distilled water. So that washes out really, really easily. You certainly don't want to get things that have got like engine oil or soaps or detergents. Or around our way, there's a really common, you can get IBCs that come from the polyurethane floor guys, but you can't get polyurethane. You can't get it out at all.
Yeah. And I find that a jigsaw cuts in really well. It gives you a nice clean cut if you're going to cut them down. Yeah.
Because a brand new IBC, brand new ones are like $300 or $400. It's absolutely crazy.
They are. I think food grade ones are about $100. You can find about $100.
Yeah. Now, Ricky, it's time for
that when I'm dealing with much smaller goldfish.
Now, Quick Dips. Quick Dips is a little segment where it's a fast question and a fast answer. Right? Okay. Bichir, Bichir, or Biker? Go. Why?
Bircher.
Bircher,
just because we're Australian, we pronounce things wrong. Bichir is, I think Bichir is the right way to say it. I think Biker is the way the Latins pronounce it, because you know everything's scientific in Latin. So.
Yep. All right. Why do you not have a display tank containing Bichirs or Bichirs in your home?
Because I breed them. I used to have a display tank full of birches inside. That was the one with the stingrays. I had ornates in there, longfin plats, Sensei bread. And I just had birches everywhere. I needed something to split it up. I needed something that was not work.
On that topic, for those at home that want to have let's say some Senegal Bichirs in a display tank, what is the one species of companion fish that you think would do fantastically with them?
The one species companion fish. Maybe something that swims along the top, a dither fish. It's a tough one, man. That's
because you haven't got a quick answer.
No. Peacock, no, they fit in their mouth.
How about silver dollars?
Yeah, you can have silver dollars with them. I've had silver dollars with them actually, yeah. And they spawned in my tank and they wrecked the water, and I got rid of them. I had about 12 of them, and they just went nuts.
I'm not supposed to answer the bloody question for you, mate. You're supposed to answer.
No. I had a stingray. I wouldn't put rays with them. That's a bit risky. It depends on the size of them.
I've heard of them getting stuck inside rays before.
Yeah, they do eat them. They will eat them. And the birches will nip at rays too. They will nip at them.
Right. All right.
I could tell you what not to put with them more than what to put with them.
Okay. Well, hang on. Let's change this. Hang on.
Dealing with much smaller goldfish.
Ricky, what species of fish should you not put with Bichirs?
Don't put anything that likes to eat algae, plecos, flagtails, anything that'll get caught in their mouth. Yeah, because you won't have them anymore. Tetras, small fish, mainly all your small fish.
Do Corydoris with their little toxin and their bit of a barb, does that cause issues?
Yeah, I wouldn't risk it. They'll choke on them. They'll get stuck in it. Because the birches have got little teeth that roll like backwards like that. And when they eat, they suck in like a vacuum, and then they grab with the teeth and they can't let go. So they'll virtually just choke on things. Right.
Okay. So we're dealing with a very unintelligent fish here.
Yeah, they're very primitive.
Hey, while we talk about that, talk about their different modes of breathing, because they do have a primitive lung, don't they?
Yeah, they got. I think it's like a modified swim bladder. The spiracles on the head.
Right. So talk about that.
That's the help.
Part of the reason why you have them in shallow water when they're young.
Yeah, so they have spiracles on their head that aid them with breathing the atmospheric pressure. Can't remember if they release air through that or they suck in air. I'm not 100% sure, but I know it functions with their breathing.
So do they have to get to the surface to breathe?
In low oxygen waters, yes. So there's bugger all oxygen in the water. They need to get to the surface to breathe.
So do you have to have the shallow water with the juveniles so that they can get up to the surface to breathe? And if it was too deep, they wouldn't. They'd be too strenuous to get to the surface, and they might drown.
Yeah, I had the water shallow with the fry because I think the depth affects their swim bladder as it's developing. So and a part of what you just said as well. It's not so far for them to go to the top to breathe.
It kind of reminds me about when you breed juvenile turtles or Australian turtles. Most guys, when they have their little baby hatchlings, they'll have them in plastic tubs or tanks in only about 3 inches of water, 7 centimeters of water, and plenty of fake plants or even Vallisneria. So the turtles can basically just lift their head up and they get access to the air, because if the water's deep, they drown. It's too hard to get to the surface of the water. I'm assuming the juvenile turtles are living in the grassy, reed, shallow areas around the edges of the ponds and the billabongs and the rivers, where it's pretty much just lift your head up, breathe, go back down again. I was wondering if that was the same situation with these guys, with the Bichirs.
Yeah, these guys live out of water if they stay moist. They jump out of a lot of people, because they are really bad for jumping out of your tank. They'll jump if they find a gap. They'll glass surf up the corner and they'll jump out. And a lot of people have come over and found them on the ground, either still alive or dried up and dead, which is horrible.
So you got covers on all your tanks, do you?
Yes, so you need lids on everything. And if you've got any gaps, I suggest what I've done is I've shoved pool noodle, I've cut it to size, and I've just like wedged it in the corner. Yeah, definitely. That's one of it is very common. I think it's the glass surfing, because they'll go right up the corner and out between the bracing there.
Yeah, right. So can you have the water level down a bit like in the IBCs? Can you bring the water level down from the top of an aquarium with adults and not worry about covers or lids? Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't risk it. Yeah, I wouldn't risk it. I think they can jump quite far. They can jump pretty high. I think it's to help them when they're in the floodplains in Africa, jumping from puddle to puddle.
Right.
I think
okay.
So that they can jump pretty high.
Well, that lends to a comment here from Praddy that he wonders about maybe their ability to breathe atmospheric air as a mechanism for seasonal drought and drying up of puddles and floodplains and ponds in Africa.
I think that definitely is the reason, yeah.
They're essential in North African species, group of fish, aren't they? So like we're talking the wet tropics in Africa, the Congo area, and then going up towards Egypt and Ethiopia and stuff like that?
Yeah, so West Northern Africa and Central Africa.
Yeah.
You've got two species, groups of birches. You've got your upper jaws and you've got your lower jaws. And most of your upper jaws come from the Northwest Africa, and all your lower jaws basically come from Central Africa, like Congo Basin, that area.
Okay. All right. Somewhere back in the chat, there was a question about rope fish. Are rope fish available in Australia? Rope fish are the other lineage in the Polypteridae family, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. If I had to bet the house on it, I'd say yes, they're here. I've never seen them. I've heard they're here, but I heard they're actually they're not very easy to keep.
I'm going to look up rope fish because I know nothing. Can you see me sharing
this? Cool. Yep. Yeah, rope fish are cool. I'd love to get a rope fish.
Rope fish. I'm going to type in.
They're like the sausage dog of the birches.
What? They're really aggressive and yappy.
Yeah.
They look like an eel.
Yeah.
They look like that. Looks like a short-finned Australian eel, don't you reckon?
Yeah, it does look very similar.
Wow. Oh no, that's not it. That's a file snake. Isn't it funny? Google can give you anything, and it's so misleading sometimes if you don't know what you're looking at. So that's a rope fish. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool.
I heard that they actually pour soap in the long grass over in Africa to collect them, and it's not good for them. It damages them. That's why a lot of them are unhealthy when you get them. The soap suffocates them. They come up to the top, and they just scoop them up.
That sounds like somewhere in my memory there was some sort of collection method in South America where they would put some sort of a plant-based toxin into the water that would rob, like you're saying, it robs the oxygen levels in the water and makes the fish come up and they just float, pick them up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Praddy 87. Praddy, I'm assuming you're referring to rope fish, are you, mate? They're only collected from the wild. I'd love for them to be bred in captivity. Are you heard of them being bred in captivity at all, mate?
No, I haven't. No. I'm not saying I haven't, but look, if it was going to be done, it would probably be done somewhere like Japan or Thailand, somewhere like that. That's a lot of the breeders, like the biggest breeders in the world for birches. That's where you'll find them.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Just go through, make sure there's got any other questions in the chat here. Oh, Phil Porter. Phil, who's in Coffs Harbour with me, has got a couple of your Senegals, I believe.
Oh,
And
yeah, I know. I've dealt with Phil a couple of times.
yeah, and they're doing fine in his tank. With the jungle perch, I think. Yeah, JP's jungle perch.
There you go. Yeah, they're beautiful jungle perch.
Yeah, yeah. All right, mate. Now, have you got anything else in your fish room that you feel like you would like to share with our community?
Um,
I always finish our stream with a question, which I've got here from a previous guest. But before we do that, I just want you to make sure there's nothing else that we've missed that you think needs to be had some light shed on.
No, sorry, it's just nothing's really coming to mind. I'm sure there's always something I've missed, but
That's
no,
all
sorry,
right.
mate.
If people, just to clarify, people, if they want to get some Bichirs, they can't buy them from you directly, but can they reach out to you for advice in some sort of format somewhere? Are you available to talk to people in some format?
Yes, certainly. Yeah, certainly. I can definitely help people find the fish they're looking for. But
what would be the best way?
I don't really have a platform. I am on Facebook. Maybe on my email. Maybe you could email me.
Okay, so if there's anybody out there that wants to get a bit more information about Polypterus, you could reach out to me, and I can. Are you happy for me to share your email to those people if they want some advice from you, mate?
Yeah, sure, definitely.
Yep. Cool. Okay.
Put it down in the comments if you want, even.
Yeah, well, I can do that if you're happy with that. Don't forget, it's going to go onto the internet forever, which means that you could be a crusty old angry 55-year-old man, and you're going to get these people emailing you. All right. That being said, it's time.
Milk.
Ricky, a previous guest has left a question for you without knowing who you are. And your question is, what is the greatest light bulb or eureka moment that you've had in your time keeping aquariums?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think it's not really a moment, mate. Things are simpler than I think we complicate things in the hobby when they need to be simple. And I think finding the simpler way of doing things, I always get that eureka moment going, why do we overcomplicate everything?
Have you got an example there in your shed? I guess that's what you're talking about with the water, with the water source and not matching parameters.
Yeah, like that little filter I made, it worked great. It was just out of bits and pieces and just little things like that, sometimes you can make the things you can buy, and, you don't need all the fancy gadgets to keep fish. You just need to kind of understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, just keep it simple, stupid. You run into problems when you complicate things.
All right, that's good advice. That pretty much goes with all types of fish keeping, including reef keeping. We are going to wrap up, but I do have a question here that I missed, and it was from Tan's Aquariums, Tanya. I think, where is it? I think she asked, are Bichirs good with planted aquariums?
Yeah, they actually thrive in planted aquariums. They love it. You'll see them. They'll be very active. They'll glide through the tank. Something I would suggest not doing is having plastic plants in an aquarium with birches, because they sometimes accidentally graze on the plastic and they end up with it in their gut. So that's one thing I'd probably steer clear of, is the plastic, just because of the way their teeth and the way they feed.
So will they destroy plants? Will they eat them, graze them, and rip them up?
I haven't had them destroy plants for me. I've actually noticed how active they are when they're in the planted tank, so I would encourage it.
Okay.
But I haven't had that happen to me. I used to keep them in planted tanks, but then I couldn't trigger them to spawn, so I had to take the plants out because they would just do it when they wanted to.
Oh, of course. Can they tolerate CO2 injection into planted aquariums?
I guess they could, since they breathe oxygen from the surface.
I knew you were going to say that.
I guess they could.
Which means we can crank it all the way up and get a beautiful planted tank. In other words, it's the perfect fish for a planted aquarium.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Thank you very much. If there's anyone out there which has a very quick question to ask before we wrap it up, we're going on 2 hours now, mate. So I appreciate your time this evening.
No, all good, man.
If there's anybody watching this video afterwards on YouTube that has a specific question about Bichirs that I don't know the answer, I can reach out to Ricky and I can answer it down in the comment section of the YouTube video. So don't be scared of sticking a question down below, even on a replay on YouTube. Thanks, mate. I appreciate your time this evening very much. It's great to see someone that's so focused on a specific group of fish, which is really hard to do, I find, for myself, because I'm a bit of a generalist. So it's really refreshing to see someone that can put all that aside and just really narrow in on one group of fish. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I appreciate you having me here. I've enjoyed the conversation, and it's good sharing the knowledge and getting it out there in the community. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, mate. Stick with us. Stick. Don't go anywhere, Ricky. And for everybody out there, thank you very much for joining. Oh, Fry Duck, Mango Jack's doing fantastic. Thanks very much for joining us tonight, and I shall see you next Sunday night with another Aquariums Anonymous meeting. Over and out. And end.